Oh, how about that, folks? Yes. See that? What happens when you don't have a sound check to do with another person out there? Sometimes you do get the microphone that is still on mute at this point. So I hope everybody was able to read and do a little lip reading out there, but we're back on track here. We got some sound, so we'll have some good stuff here. But as I was saying earlier, got some good information out here that we're going to stack up for some major league action today. Got some good home and away splits here. The goal of the show, as always, is for me and you and the chat box to share that information out there. As I said or was saying while I was on mute, the better the show, the better the chat box always goes hand in hand out there. So everybody out here, we're having a good time here. Donnie, all excited about Triggs on the MLB Network. Hey, look. Let's get this straight. The MLB Network knows where the ratings are going to come from, folks. If you put Triggs on center stage, especially in the Bronx, it's probably going to be one of the most watched games of the year, if not in the history of Major League Baseball, folks. Welcome in, everybody, to the show. We'll have a good time, as I said here earlier. I'll be your host today, Donnie Rightside. I'm going over my monologue again here for us. The big man on campus should be joining us momentarily here once he does get his computer underway here for us. Welcome in. We are going to let's go over to who everybody in the chat box is right here. Give us a like, give us a retweet, hit the YouTube button down there, the subscribe, follow at SBR Sports Picks. This is what we do at Sportsbook Review. We're here to give you the information to put it in your mind, folks, to help you make that informed decision designed to get you more winners out there. Steve Murin's out there. Pishu's out there. B-Mac, Juan, Best Gambler, Armin, King Art, Nicholas Vaslek. Yes, I know. I can't pronounce your name, but I obviously know you on Twitter and everything like that. Trenton Claxton out there. Dan Kelly, Casey, Tyvone. Let's see. B-Mac, Hamburg's out there. Hugh Erection, Dan Kelly. Who else is out there? Carolina Capper. We'll keep going. Tug Welsh. There we go. See that? See what happens right now when we get some interesting info and we actually have a microphone that actually will work for us today. It is Saturday. Welcome in, Chris Carter. Ron Walsick says, wake up, big man. He is up out there. I have communicated with the big man on campus, so he'll be in here shortly. Folks, if you haven't followed so far, we'll get into this whole card. We got a nice slate to go over today, try to pick out some winners. Just to talk a little bit about last night, I thought I was making the prudent decision last night, folks. Instead of going for like minus 125, but BetOnline had minus 128 yesterday in the Marlins and the Atlanta Braves game, I chose to take the less juice, folks. Less juice, because most of the time it usually works out in your favor, because in case you take a loss out there, you're not really going to lose any juice out there at a plus 100. I elected to go with the 9, and I was like, you know what? Great move for me. Fifth inning, looks like we're going to get this one easily. You already had 9 runs, just needed one more run over the last 4 innings. But hey, when you have the single greatest assembled bullpens of all time between the Marlins and the Braves, sometimes you just can't scrape out a run. It's like multiple double plays in that game. I ended up with a push yesterday, but hey, no harm, no foul. 3-1 on the week for me, having a great baseball season. But it's kind of funny how that worked out, because old me would have said, you know what, the hell with it. Let me get the 8.5 runs at minus 128 and just roll with it. But the new me out here was like, you know what, let's keep that juice low. I didn't lose any money, but it felt like a loser there because I couldn't scrape out a run over the last 4 innings. I know Kyle Hamburg seems like it was a double play every inning in the 5th. Even Real Muto got up with a man on second base, I believe, in the bottom of the 8th. He hits a laser to shortstop, which caused a double play. It was tough out there. Ace Farmer in the chat. I know, Ace, we had a good time, and I just want to bring this up right now. One of my favorite things about Twitter is the fact that you could put something out there, whether you're trolling or not, because it's a great device for trolling if you just want to put something out there just to get some engagements back coming your way. And you look, people are going to have differentiating opinions, right? Whether or not the shift works, why you shift, who you shift against. But I'm an old school thought. You know, I'm 40 years old. I like analytics just as much as the next guy, as long as it helps the cause. But the whole conversation came up when, the pictures around Twitter are circulating out there with Joey Gallo and the shift, literally putting like 7 players on the right side of the diamond and just saying, dude, we know you're going to hit it right to us, so we'll just stack this side. You can do anything you want with left field. It doesn't even matter to us. And he refuses to drop down a bunt. The point is, folks, it's to avoid having the most people into your shift. So if you have 7 guys on the right side of the field, if Joey Gallo would show bunt 3 times in one game, maybe another fielder would move over and open up the right-hand side. Once you change the dynamics of the shift, just get back to raking and pulling the ball. Nobody's going to care. I just find it funny out there that it's not the concept of bunting. It's the concept of moving the shift around. Whatever happened to the old adage out there, take what the defense gives you. If you're playing a basketball game, you're a great three-point shooter. And back in the day, they're playing a boxing one on you. You're not just going to fire up three after three after three with the guy with his hands in your face. You're going to pass to the open player. It's the same concept in football out there. If it's the second quarter and it's second down and 1 and they have 9 guys in the box, you're not going to run into the 9 guys. You are going to audible and you're going to throw over the top of the defense. So I understand the shift and why it works, but there's sometimes where the overshift, if you can just, my goodness, go the other way with the ball every once in a while and drop down a bunt, it makes life a lot easier for you. Sense out there for us. Welcome in Giorgio, Anthony, Paco's in here, Ski Profit, Jason, everybody's in here. Dan Kelly, like Shaq refused to shoot free throws between his legs, said it was because he didn't like his fans. Exactly, Dan. Right on the head. Bang, bang, bang. Like if somebody told you out there, let's just say you had you're going to play golf, and they said, you know what? This pink ball is going to add 35 yards to your tee shot and spin unbelievably well on the green and have great control. And only the idiot out there would say, boy, if I have a pink ball, my friends would make a lot of fun of me out there. Nope. Give me the pink ball and give me the better scratch golf player out there. It's a simple concept. If we're going to give you some, Barry Bonds back in the day I brought up there. Barry Bonds saw 1 pitch a game. He didn't just swing at everything. By that theory with Joey Gallo, Barry Bonds should have swung at every single pitch, no matter if it was 8 feet outside, because, home runs and I'm a power hitter. You take what they give you. If Joey Gallo got on base 3 times a game, I'm pretty sure the Rangers probably wouldn't be one of the worst teams in baseball because you would have a shot to drive him home. But anyway, that's for another thing at this point. We'll wait for the big man to join in. It's about 11:10 Eastern. Thanks so much, people, for tuning in here. Got 119 people live watching it. We'll go for at least 1 hour here on the show, breaking down some baseball thoughts. Just got an update there. Big man said he should be here within 30 seconds to a minute. So we'll put him on the clock right there. Even though I don't have a watch, you still can always, look the part or act the part while you're on camera here. Yes, Rick Barry shouted underwear. Don Ricci, welcome in. Speaking of golf, good value with the chasers and the players today. Wind is picking up in the course stepping into play. Yeah, a lot of times, David, I mean, you always see that case. If you get out early, a lot of times you avoid the wind and some of the messier conditions where later in the day the play, because even though we know, hey, everybody's a golfer out there, if you're going to play later in the day, there's going to be a lot more ball marks on the greens. The course is going to be in as good a shape as it is, like, say, 8:30 or 9 a.m. when you're one of the first couple guys teeing off out there. So if you can get ahead, set the pace, and force the players behind you to play into, I don't want to say trap is the wrong word, but into what you did in the morning, saying, you know what, I got to go real low. So I haven't checked in there, but I think Tiger is actually having is Tiger winning the tournament by now? Somebody just added me on Twitter at this point, so I hope he is playing well, because that'll drive his price into the U.S. Open, that we can all hammer it for a not make the cut or not win there. But that's another day, another story here. Hopefully big man will be joining us here shortly on the chat box. Welcome in. Anything going out there, folks? Anything on your mind at this point that you want to get off your chest on the chat box before we get into this baseball card and go over the Noah Syndergaards of the world and my Philadelphia Phillies, who collapsed in the 9th inning thanks to Hector Neris again twice in 1 week. You got to pull those games out when you're playing in the NL East, but they are a younger ball club just starting to learn how to win. So we'll see how that goes up there. Sonny Vega, what's good, brother? Thanks for stopping in. Po Boy, thanks for stopping in. Everybody coming in here and having a good time on this glorious Saturday. Got a full card, a couple double headers out there on the card, but no, people are pretty smart out there coming into the chat box and saying, hey, Donnie, you know what? Triggs is on the mound today, which I should have wore the Triggs shirt today, the MVP, because he was sensational his last start. I don't see anything different today. Anything less than 7 innings in the Bronx today, 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 7 strikeouts would be a major disappointment to me and all the Triggs people out there. I hear a sniff in the background. Do we have the big man here?
Hey, how are you?
Jeff, you made me do 12 minutes by myself here with the whole complete monologue and going over everything. I think you should send a check in the mail.
I will definitely. I'll do it right after the show. Donnie, how these updates go. Sometimes when you wake up, you have to do them. Nothing I could do, but I will. I'll gladly send you the check right away.
There we go. All right. Why don't we get right into the baseball card, Jeff? And as usual on a Saturday, obviously nothing is going to be starting before we end the show today, so we'll keep it like we usually do, Jeff, right down in rotation to go over. First game we'll look at 901, 902. It's going to be Strasburg and Scribner on the mound, Jeff. Almost a 50-50 ticket split here, but a heavy favorite, as usual, for Strasburg. Minus 180 at Pinnacle, minus 183 at Chris, minus 180 at Intertops in this one. If we're taking a look at some simple stats there, on the road, Triggs versus lefties, 322 weighted on base average, which is average. average, striking out about 20% of the lefties he's facing. He does have some decent stats on the road, even if you're looking from the right-hand side, Jeff, and we talked about it quite a bit. The Arizona Diamondbacks at home with the humidor, struggling a little bit at the plate, especially Paul Goldschmidt. He's striking out almost 36% of batters away from the right-hand spot. If you're looking at from the young kid getting a call-up today, Jeff, 5.68 ERA in AAA through 25 innings. So it's not one of those young phenoms you're calling up. Looks like it's one of those guys just to get you by in this game.
Yeah, and the continued problem with Arizona, and you look at their last 3 games even, all losses, they've scored 5 runs. I mean, they're just not scoring enough runs. And it's been, whether it's been, like you said, this humidor or, in general, they're just not hitting the baseball. They only hit about 226 in general. At home, it's down to 220. They're just having issues. A lot of low-scoring games between them and their opponents. You look at their pitching, that's what's really been able to keep them in games. That's what's allowed them to win. Your big question on Scribner is, you got to like the under. I mean, bettors have liked the under. It's down to 7.5. Big question is Scribner. What are you going to get out of him? Can he give you 5 innings and the bullpen can kind of rescue? Because this is a pretty decent bullpen for the most part. It's one of the best in baseball, actually, at a 2.49 ERA. They've done a nice job. They've only blown a couple saves. Really have done a nice job. But Scribner's really the problem here. Can you trust him? The number's a bit too high for me. Maybe a Washington first 5 -0.5, just because I do think they can hit Scribner, and I really don't imagine they'll hit Strasburg much. But it's a game that I don't have much on. It's tough because I don't know what I'm going to get out of Scribner.
No, you're right about that there, Jeff. Well, we were going on, opening up the show, going over a couple things. The hot Twitter debate today going around was the picture of the Joey Gallo shift and how he should approach it. New analytical guys will say, I don't care if 19 guys are standing on the right side. He should just swing away and hit 208 or 204 for his career. When older school guys, Jeff, like myself, say, hey, how about going the other way or dropping a bunt down to try to loosen up that shift a little bit? Real quick, Jeff, your thoughts on people that get overshifted and saying it's not fair, similar to Hack a Shaq or Hack a DeAndre.
Then make them change. If you don't think it's fair, then do something about it. It's like someone mentioned Shaq. It's a great point. I mean, then get better at shooting free throws. If you don't want people to foul you, get better at shooting free throws. That's your job. Your job is to play basketball or whatever you're doing. I would do the same thing. I would bunt here as well. I get Joey Gallo as a young kid. He's, kind of that big-time home run hitter, likes to put the ball in the seats. But listen, this guy's struggled in his career, and a lot of it has to do with the shift. Put a bunt down the line once in a while. I mean, why not? It's free. It's a free hit.
Yeah, I can't, usually I like really good back and forth, but there's literally nothing you can tell me that, because look, we're not saying Joey Gallo or anybody in that who's going to have a major overshift should bunt every time, because eventually it's going to catch up. Maybe you don't bunt it down, but as long as you change the concept out there and get a base hit or two, the other team maybe instead of playing their shortstop or the third baseman at second base has to put another guy over there, which might loosen it up for you. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, the name of the game in baseball is to get base runners to increase your chance of scoring, not hit like 200 and maybe hit a home run once every 4 or 5 games. But then again, Jeff, a lot of the people that infiltrate normal baseball analogies, Jeff, are DFS guys that say, I took Joey Gallo last night and he had 3 singles and I was hoping he hit a home run because it's worth way more. Get the DFS out of your brain and play real baseball strategy. We don't live in a fantasy baseball atmosphere here. Come on.
And the fact that the Astros had to defend this shift, according to different news, what do you mean they have to defend it? It's baseball. It's strategy. They know the idiot won't bunt, and they know he hits that way every time. I do the same fucking thing. These people don't have to defend shifts. Like, if you have a no-hitter in the 9th inning, I'm going to actually bow down to you and let you have the no-hitter by not bunting? Fuck off. I'm bunting. I don't want to be embarrassed. My team doesn't want to get embarrassed. We're going to bunt no matter what. It's baseball. If you don't like it, go do ballet or go do something else. I agree with you. I don't get it either. I'd be bunting. I'd be doing whatever I could do to win the game. And because look, at the end of the day, Donnie, the manager, if they don't win, what happens?
Go on. See ya.
Get fired. I can't afford that. Sorry. I'm going to bunt. I'm going to do what I have to do to win a game. Yeah, this is stupid. Texas, this is managing too. I mean, why isn't the coach, the manager saying, listen, why don't you lay a bunt down once in a while? I mean, this is a manager, no? I mean, why did the manager do something about this?
No, yeah, it's theoretically, it makes absolutely on its head 0 sense whatsoever because the goal is to get on base. Hey, home runs are nice, Jeff. We would all agree there. But even if you were up, like let's just say you were the batter, Jeff, and you're hitting rockets to right field, and there's 9 outfielders out there just catching every one of them. Wouldn't you get frustrated enough? Go, you know what? I'm going to work on maybe in the offseason, Jeff, going the other way with the ball every once in a while because nobody's in left field. Imagine if you just hit a 220-foot fly ball to left. You would have a double every single time up and reach the plate.
I think that's the difference between guys that want to be great and guys that just want to collect a check. Joey Gallo, he might just be one of those guys, hey, I could just be my regular Joey Gallo and I'll make money. I'm never going to be a great baseball player, but I'm going to make money. Or I can be, like Ben Simmons, for instance. If Ben Simmons wants to become a superstar, he's got to develop a jump shot. Ben Simmons will still be a really good player without a jump shot, but you got to develop a jump shot. Some people want to do that and some people don't. Some cappers are okay with just, every year putting out the same, scammy picks and, not really winning or whatever. And some want to get better and improve themselves.
Yeah, we could argue all day long. I just think it's fascinating because every once in a while, like a Twitter storm starts over like one picture. And it's fun to hear like the opposite. Like I'm a hard-headed guy for the most part. Most guys are hard-headed, especially when we're thinking about sports and we think we know more than the other person. But I love an engaging argument on why you should do this. And I just don't see anything of why you should just say, well, he's a power hitter. Why would you take the bat out of his hand? It's the most cockamamie like argument you could ever have. I don't even know how there's even like a concept in that. Like if you golf and you hit the ball 330 yards, why take an iron out if you could put a 250 down the middle when you can hit 350? But oh, by the way, you might take a stroke penalty every other hole because you knock it out of bounds. But hey, you hit the ball far. I just don't understand.
We'll have to get one of those sabermetric people on. They can probably provide more context. But hey, Donnie, how about Matt Harvey last night? The Dark Knight, ready to roll.
Look, and Jeff, if anybody watched the show yesterday, absolutely the best thing you can do as a handicapper and gambler is bet on emotion. You knew he was going to be emotionally ready, Jeff, to pitch and show those Mets. You were foolish out there if you did not bet on emotion last night because Harvey was the clear
Donnie,
play.
Listen, emotion, momentum, it's how we bet in this business, baby.
I knew you'd like that. We'll keep it moving on. We'll get to that Harvey game just a little bit, Jeff. Why don't we go back to another ridiculous upset, Jeff? I saw you subtweeting out there, which leads me to believe that somewhere off the screen you had a bet on the Philadelphia Phillies who carried a 1-0 lead from the first inning to the top of the ninth. Couldn't cash in with any runners on base, and it didn't even look like it was going to matter at that point. You got 1 out, nobody on in the ninth, which somehow turns into a 3-1 lead for the Mets as they blow it. 9:03, 9:04 today. Syndergaard's going to take the mound versus Eflin. Jeff, both of these teams, if you look at this coming, and obviously when you're playing an NL East battle early in the season, these big games matter, especially when you should have won the game, a la the Phillies versus Scherzer on Sunday and last night when you're blowing with Hector Neris in the ninth. Good numbers there for Syndergaard, Jeff, for both lefties and righties on the road. Decent strikeouts, 25% versus lefties, 21% versus right-handed batters. Good whip out there. And if you're looking at Eflin, Jeff, good numbers at home. Hasn't faced a lot of lefties at home, but a 150 WOBA out there with a 38% strikeout rate of left-handed batters from the right-hand side, 28%. So he's striking out a lot of people at home, which the adage from me goes, Jeff, hey, look, if you're going to get guys on base, a productive out is not a bad thing. But if you're striking out damn near 40% of the batters, they don't even get a chance to put the ball in play. You're looking at a hefty number here. 152 it opened up. And now look, Jeff, right around that 145. I know Syndergaard's a big name out there. How do you think he performs today?
Yeah, real quick, last night, Phillies 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, 9 left on base. I did have the Phillies. It kind of sucked because I had Pirates team total over and I had the Pirates over, and it really kind of screwed up would have been a nice night. Yeah, 1-0, 1-0. They're up. First inning, big home run. They had opportunities, many opportunities to score runs, and then Neris blows it. And it was just kind of like, fuck you. You're not going to cover the run line. F off. Hope you lose. They did. Yeah, this is an interesting game. Eflin, look, 2 games. Do you believe in Eflin is the big question. Keep in mind, Donnie, one of those games is against Miami, okay? Miami is trash, as we know. And San Francisco last week, who, is struggling right now a bit. I'm not sure I believe in Zach Eflin, frankly. At this number with Syndergaard, the way he pitches, the way he's destroyed the Phillies in his career, again, keep in mind, these are a lot of new Phillies, but he was very good in the first game. I think he went out with an injury, I think, in the first game they played. I have a feeling because he only went 4 innings, if I remember correctly. I'll tell you, Donnie, over the years, I've had just no luck betting on or against the Phillies. It's just very odd. They win 10 in a row. I bet on them last night. They can't get the job done. Slight lean to the Mets. I just think last night's game might get them going a bit. They got their guy Syndergaard on the mound. I don't think Eflin is going to keep these numbers going long term. So I kind of go with Mets here. I think 145 is just a decent price.
All right, we'll keep it moving, Jeff. 905, 906 last night. You want to talk about a smoke show out there. What happened to the San Francisco Giants over the past 4 to 5 games out there, seemingly getting their brains in beat nightly? 905, 906. Samardzija is going to take the hill to try to cool off the Pirates here, or the cool off the Pirates bats, I should say, from last night. If we take a look, 62% of the tickets, Jeff, currently coming in right now on the Pittsburgh Pirates. If we look across the board, 8.5 is the total. That hasn't shifted too much there. Line opened up at Pinnacle at 37, Chris at 35. That's hovering right around that same general number, Jeff. 133 at Chris, 133 at Intertops, 130 at BetOnline. If you take a look at some numbers, these are some interesting splits looking at home and away. Samardzija, Jeff, can't get any lefties out. And if we look at Chad Kuhl at home, he can't get any lefties out. But both have pretty staunch numbers against right-handed bats. So we'll see when these lineups come out to see if one of these teams can expose that and have a nice, at least 3 or 4 lefties trying to peek into the lineup. Strikeout numbers for Kuhl at home, 32% versus lefties. Weighted on base average. Again, lefties are going to control the day here, but they are very good against righties. You see any runs coming out of the day? Because 8.5 after last night's smoke show doesn't seem to be too much for the Pirates at this point.
The problem is, you mentioned Samardzija has major issues against lefties. Lefties are hitting 400 against him. The problem is Pittsburgh doesn't have any left-handed bats. They're all right-handed. The only left is Greg Polanco, I believe. And that's one of the reasons I love Pittsburgh last night. They were a huge, staunch right-handed batting club, and the pitcher Suarez had major issues against.
No, but Jeff, I don't want to cut you off there. But look at it now. Their projected lineup tonight is looking to have Frazier a lefty, Polanco a lefty, Bell a lefty, Corey Dickerson a lefty, Moran a lefty. So you're looking at almost 5 batters out there from the left-handed side.
Keep in mind, from the starting perspective, Moran's not a starter. Bell, I don't know. Does Bell normally start? I don't normally see him in the lineup. Frazier, couple of these guys are coming off the bench though. Your regulars don't know, at least from what I've saw. But again, keep in mind that's just what I looked at last night. A lot of righties are in the lineup, and they all got the job done. But yeah, look, Samardzija struggled against a lot of people though, seemingly. So I don't know that it'll matter. All 4 of his starts have gone over the number. Kuhl hasn't exactly been good either. And this is kind of interesting, Donnie, last night. Kuhl and Tyone are kind of the same. They kind of had average numbers, but the Giants haven't had issues with scoring runs. It's been their pitching. They've been scoring runs, and their averages have been fine. They're not getting people out. Over the last 7 games, opponents are hitting 300 and scoring almost 7 runs a game. Their bullpen's been a disaster. I think it's hard to not go back to the Pirates here. I think they're just playing way better. Samardzija I don't trust, and I definitely don't trust that bullpen. 130-ish, not a bad price in the Pirates.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just circle this game now, because most of the time in the mornings, what our normal day would go is, you cap the card sort of, and then you wait till some lineups come out. But this is one of the games I'm going to now circle, Jeff, because just looking at another projected lineup, if we're looking for the San Francisco Giants, Jeff, you got Blanco the lefty, Belt a lefty. Pablo Sandoval can hit from the left side, and Crawford from the left side, along with Alan Hansen. So you're going to have more left-handed bats than right-handed bats. I'm going to circle this game and come back to this one a little bit later in the day. What time do we have a 7 o'clock start in that influence? So we have a lot of time to review that, but maybe a first 5 innings, like take the bullpens completely out of it and just bet in the vacuum in there and say a lot of lefties are going to come to the plate in the first 5 innings. And that over-under, Jeff, not a high one, looking at 8.5, so not a bad one. As we like to say, hey, give me 4 on one side, give me 4 on the other, and let's go home with some money in that one. So that's going to be one that I'm certainly going to come back to, Jeff. 907, 908. Yeah, what's up, man?
Ron Walsick in the chat is asking for a Joe Duffy impression. I guess he misses Joe Duffy on Saturdays here for it's Joe Duffy and the tailgate party every Saturday during the football season on a Facebook Live page. Get my industry secrets, my news of the trade, and we'll get High Cotton's play of the day. It's Joe Duffy, 26 years of excellence from the Score Phone days. It's Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Donnie?
Yep, looks like Steve in the chat box asking you to do a Jimmy the Bag impression as well. So you want a quick second?
I'm not gonna do impressions all day, but I could do Jimmy. I could do Drew.
Yeah, we'll bust that out. Well, it gets a little bit slower in the summer on the right side of campus, folks. So I'm sure one of these days, me and Jeff are going to go deep into the bag and have some fun with that. So we'll have a good one there. Why don't we keep it moving on, Jeff? 907, 908, Atlanta and Miami last night. Nice win for the Miami Marlins at home. And yes, that was my push of the night, which I should have had to win it. Sometimes, Jeff, you get a push and you're like, hey, man, no harm, no foul. That's one I should have taken down. But new day, new money. See what we can do here. Soroka's going to be on the mound versus Jarlin Garcia. 71% of the tickets, Jeff, are going with the young kid there for the Atlanta Braves. -128 opens up, and it looks like it's now at -137. Chris at 35. Intertop's at 38. So it looks like they're looking for Atlanta to bounce back. They do have a potent offense. But the one thing, Jeff, that you want to look at, if you take Jarlin Garcia and you look at his starts, he got smoked last time out. But if we just, take a little capsule here and look at his home starts, weighted on base average versus lefties, 193. Right-handed batters, 140. If you're not familiar with the term weighted on base average, anything 320 or below is not very good. So he's well below those numbers. If you send the lefty up to the plate at home in that big ballpark, Jeff, he's striking out 40% of those batters. If we're taking a look at balls in play for Jarlin Garcia, 167 from the left side and 125. So even if you are making contact down there in South Florida, you're not getting on base. And we took a look at Soroka, his first start, very good. Second start, a little bit shaky. These are the games, Jeff, sometimes I like to take a step back with because I need more numbers on the young kid from Atlanta to make a bet. But you can't go against Jarlin Garcia at home right now. He is on fire.
He is on fire. And, I just kind of look at last game. Listen, I mean, you're facing a Cubs team that had been murdering the ball. You look at the next night, the night after, and they were just crushing the ball. I think they averaged like 10 runs a game against Miami, it seemed like. Yeah, I mean, Soroka, you don't really know. I mean, he had one good game. He had one just average game. According to them, it was some soft contact that was well placed, and that's only lasted 4 innings. His sinker's been good. He's thrown some good pitches. This is a lineup, though, that you can dominate. It's not very difficult. I mean, outside of Boer and Real Muto, there's not a ton, maybe even Starlin Catcher, but there's not a ton here to really worry about. I kind of want to go under the number. I mean, at 8, I mean, it's always a concern when you have the Marlins because they just don't seemingly do anything right. But Jarlin Garcia's of a bad outing. He's back at home. Soroka has been pretty good, and this is a lineup that he should be able to have success against. When you have a young kid in, you obviously want to go against lineups that, are a little bit easier to navigate. At 8, maybe I'll look under the number here. But I'll tell you, Donnie, these 4 games we're starting out with, not a ton that I'm really excited about here. Maybe the Pirates, maybe this under, but I haven't really seen much that's really wetting my whistle just yet.
All right, we'll go ahead and keep it moving down the list, Jeff. And 909-910, I don't cap Colorado games, but I know a lot of people out there want to go over it. So we'll take a look at Anderson and Freeland. This one, Jeff, 56% on the home team here, Colorado Rockies. Oh, another wild game last night, Jeff. I believe, I went to bed, but I can't, you wake up early and you check the scores. Went to bed, it was like 9-4 Rockies. And I see they lost 11-10 last night. So the betting theories in Colorado, I don't understand, is there a legitimate capping way you can look at Coors and say, you know what, this pitcher's going to do well? Because nothing matters in that. You could be up 9-0 in the 4th inning and get hammered in games. I don't see the value of betting anything out of Coors unless you're just going to say, Jeff, I'm going to flip a coin and I'm just going to take some plus money at Coors, whether it be whoever's there. I don't see a valid way of capping. I haven't capped a game at Coors in years, and for good being. Looking at this game, Jeff, Anderson, Freeland, do you see a clear path in this one that says, you know what? I want to lay 126 with Colorado here tonight?
Dude, I had to tell you, Donnie, real quick. I meant to tell you, your little conversation with Dickie Higgins was hilarious on Twitter. He was one of those.
Yeah, it was short-lived. Yeah, but see, that's what I was yelling. We've been on the air many, many times, Jeff, and it's been no fun the last month. And it was no fun. Tiger ended today 15 shots back. So it's more fun for me if Tiger sniffs 5 shots of the lead. So then it's no fun when you're just talking to a wall out there and you go, my God, another bad day by Tiger, and nobody can say anything back. I like the back and forth.
Yeah. No, but about Colorado, it's interesting. We haven't seen a ton of wild games in Colorado this year. It seems like last night was the first. I mean, for the most part, it seems like they haven't been at home a ton. I mean, they've only been at home about 8 games, I think, this year out of their they've had a lot of road games, but or not. They've only won about, I think, 6 or 7 games at home in 10 games or so. But yeah, we haven't seen a ton of wild games. We definitely saw one last night. Milwaukee right now, having issues. I mean, offensively, they're having some problems. And, they're kind of win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Another game. I mean, it's tough. Two pitchers, though, that have had success, but you always throw that out. Freeland, though, Donnie, if you remember last year, he was very good at Coors his entire season. He's from that area. He had pitched real well, and it was kind of a random. I mean, he'd just come in and just crushed it at Coors. I'm going to kind of go under the number here. These look like two guys, Freeland generally, who is very good at that ballpark. He's one of the only starters they have that's good there. Anderson, he's been pretty solid as well. I threw out one bad performance he had against the Pirates. I think overall he's a pretty solid pitcher. And this Milwaukee team is struggling to hit right now. I think 11 is just a bit too high. Sometimes these numbers get a little out of hand. I'm going to maybe look towards an under here in Coors. I might just look towards a first 5 under. You're probably going to get 6 probably or something like that. I want to navigate and go through these two starters. I'm confident. I don't want to get these bullpens involved, particularly Colorado's. Their bullpen, we know, lately has really struggled. 5 blown saves on the season.
All right, keep it moving. 9-11, 9-12, St. Louis and San Diego. Michael Wacha is going to take the mound versus Tyson Ross. If you take a look, 68% of the public going to back the Cardinals. This one early opened up at 117 at Pinnacle, 130 at Chris. Now sitting right around that minus 110 level, almost just about a pick 'em in this situation. Jeff, take a look at some splits out there. Lefties on the road, Wacha handles. Righties at home, Ross handles. But if you flip it over there, Jeff, Wacha struggling versus right-handed batters on the road, 467 weighted on base average. And here's the key ingredient here that I like to look at also. On the road, Michael Wacha, Jeff, only striking out 4.6% of his batters. That means if you're hitting at that level, you're making contact. Weighted on base average, getting on base, getting runners on base, always drives to more runs. We'll see if they can stack a heavy right-handed lineup against him. Ross at home, Jeff, doing well against righties, but his left-handed splits, a weighted on base average at home versus lefties, 388, and only striking out 10% of his batters from the left-handed side. We'll see if there's any left-handed bats available once that comes out a little bit later. But if you're looking at overall splits, you're getting a pretty cheap price if you're looking just team over team. But obviously, this is something to uncover there if Tyson Ross or Wacha is only a minus 110 in this one.
Yeah, this is something I've tried to understand. Over the last week or so, there's been a lot of games involving San Diego where there's a favorite that obviously you want to key in on, yet the line has went the other way. It happened against the Nationals. It's happening here in this game. But you're right. Wacha has struggled against righties. You have a point there. And Tyson Ross, I'm not really in love with him either. He's a guy that's just kind of a middle-of-the-road kind of guy. Wacha gets a lot of run support, Donnie, generally. Last year, he was very high in that category. This year, he's very high. Gets about 6 runs of support per game. I think this total's too low. Wacha, you mentioned struggles. You would think that the Padres are going to hit someone. It'd be Wacha. I mean, he's had issues on the road. He's had issues against right-handed batters. I'd look over the number here.
No, it should be an interesting one, and yeah, you never know with that young pitchers, getting out of their groove or element there, but just some interesting splits. I don't have that much on that overall game, so we'll keep it going. 9-13, 9-14, Cincinnati and the Dodgers, and hey, the Dodgers again last night, Jeff. Kenta Maeda, what he closed at about 2-1 again. We joked about it yesterday, taking the Dodgers at that level. Let's look again. Hey, your ace is on the mound, right, Jeff? Stripling is on the mound. So we see him open again at 180 and staying at 180 across the board. The Dodgers, not a good baseball team, laying huge numbers at home. If we take a look at some splits out there, Bailey is Homer Bailey, right? Home run, Homer Bailey, what we call him. Decent splits on the road versus lefties. He does get hit a little bit on the road versus right-handed batters. But if you look at Ross Stripling, Jeff, left-handed batters weighted on base while he's at home, 400 in that instance, 2 as a walks and hits the inning pitch. And if you're just putting the ball in play, Jeff, how about this for a BABIP? 500 from the left-handed side. We'll see if the Reds can abuse that there. But again, it just comes back to the old strategy here, Jeff. The Dodgers laying huge numbers and not playing good baseball.
Yeah, and the question is, can you get this pathetic Dodger team to hit a pitcher that they should? Last night, Matt Harvey had it going on. I don't ever expect Homer Bailey to have it going on. It seems like he'll pitch well for an inning or two and then just get crushed. This guy's 0-8. They're 0-8 when Homer Bailey starts. He's not won a game this year. His ERA is high. His last 3 starts, he's gotten absolutely crushed. If they're going to hit anyone, you would hope it's Homer Bailey. And look, I think Ross Stripling can get touched a bit as well. You're catching a Reds team here at the right time. You're catching a Reds team here that it's won 4 in a row. They're playing good baseball. Why can't they hit Ross Stripling? I mean, Ross Stripling hasn't exactly been world beater either. There's another game where I think the totals at 8.5, I'd probably look over the number. If you can get 3 or 4 out of the Dodgers, I think this game will go over, because I think the Reds, just the way they're playing right now, I think they'll be able to score some runs here. Some of these games are a bit basic and rudimentary, but listen, when Homer Bailey plays, it's hard to not take overs when he plays. He's just not any good. And you're probably going to get a team total at a decent – I'm sure you're going to get it at 4 here with the Dodgers. The question is, do you trust that lineup right now to score runs? I think – if anything, they're decent against right-handed batters or right-handed pitchers, so maybe take a shot with that. But, Donnie, real quick, if you're wanting to lay the number here, okay, this is very interesting. Basically at a price of 125 to 175 in that realm, the Dodgers this year are 0-7, minus 10.8 units.
As a favorite. Yeah.
So as kind of that, middle tier, upper end favorite, they're not good. So if this number gets into that range, it's hard to get behind them. They're just not very good as a big favorite. I mean, we saw that last night. We've seen it time and time again, but it's hard to put your money on Homer Bailey.
All right, next up, Jeff, we're going to get to the sportsbookreview.com game of the day in the Bronx here. And, who's going to carry the weight in here? 9:15, 9:16, Triggs for MVP is on the mound, fresh off a dominant start. Jeff going to go against. Now, pronounce his name for me. Is it Herman, German, or German? I haven't listened to a game with sound while this kid's pitched for the Yankees. Give me the pronunciation.
The G in Spanish names is silent. It's Herman. Domingo Herman. Herman.
There we go. So we'll go Domingo Germán. 73% of the tickets are going to line up on the Yankees here. If we're looking across the board here, and, last night, if you're looking at the Oakland A's, Graveman's on the mound for Sonny Gray. That was the easy game of the day. They were going to take the over. That was my second in line in there. I didn't want to outsmart myself, and it looks like I did, because I didn't lose any money, but I should have won money if I went with the Yankees, or at least took the 8.5 yesterday. But getting back to the Bronx, the Yankees are never out of it. It doesn't matter how many runs they are down. That lineup can hit the 3-run home run at any moment here. We take a look at Triggs here on the road, Jeff, the total in this game is sitting at 9 over under in that one, and then 179, 175, 174, depending at which outlet you're shopping at here. Just some quick splits here. Triggs been decent on the road. Again, using that weighted on base average, anything below 320 is decent. 307 the lefties, 321 the righties. So he's right on that cut line and striking out a decent number of people, Jeff. About a quarter of the batters from the left-handed side, about 20% from the right. If we take a look at Herman there, Jeff, he's been really good at home. His weighted on base average clearly below 300 in both instances, 268 to the lefties, 288 to the righties. How about this, Jeff? When I talk about, you want to get a base runner on and move him over, how about Herman at home, Jeff, striking out almost 50% of the right-handed batter he's facing? That is a huge number, but keep in mind, if you get the bat on the ball from the right-handed side, if you're not striking out, Jeff, his BABIP out there at 426, so it's pretty high. But what's the best way to counterbalance that, Jeff? Just strike the damn guy out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, last night, Donnie, Yankees scored 5 runs, and it seems like they didn't do anything. It seems like they were complete shit. And that was a tough beat. I had the team total over 5.5 in that game. They had bases loaded with 1 out, couldn't score a run. Just dreadful bats last night. But no, your boy Triggs, he's done okay. He hasn't been great, hasn't been horrible. You look at weather today, Donnie. It's pretty cool on the East Coast. I mean, it's we're dealing with a little bit of
woke up to a big rainstorm. Yeah,
we're dealing with a bit of a cold front coming in here. Tomorrow it's going to be in the 50s. It's going to be about 55, 60 at first pitch here. You're going to deal with a little rain. It's not heavy rain all day. It's just intermittent. Wind blowing in, Donnie, 10 miles an hour. So the wind is blowing in up at the Bronx. Herman, it's a fascinating game, Donnie, because I think on paper, you look at this and say, Herman's killing it. He's going to strike a ton of athletics out. That's what they do. Triggs is a decent pitcher as well. Do you have an inkling to take it under here? Maybe. But it's hard to do it with the Yankee lineup. I'm going to do it, though. I'm going to lean towards the under in this game. I like the way Herman's pitching. I think your boy Triggs will be on, honestly, as well. The Yankees, we'll point out how many runs they score a game. They're not hitting great, though. I mean, it's been a lot of home runs. If Triggs can just not give up the long ball, which he doesn't. He doesn't give up down home runs. If he could just keep the ball down, kind of like Tanaka, similar guy. If he doesn't give up home runs, keeps the ball down, he's a pretty effective pitcher. For me, I'm going to hope that he doesn't do that. I think he can do that. We'll keep the ball in the park and the wind blowing in. I'll go under the number of 9.
Yeah, another interesting point. I'm glad you brought that out, Jeff. A little bit cooler. We got a lot of rain here on the East Coast here in the early morning hours, a drenching storm. The one thing also later today, if you're looking at the Philadelphia Phillies game, it's not I don't think it's an afternoon start, right? I think it was at 7 o'clock, wasn't it? 7:05 p.m. start. Severe weather in the Delaware Valley here between 5 o'clock tonight and 10 p.m. So if you're out there going, factoring on like Syndergaard, I'm betting on him. He's going to dominate. Let's keep in mind, like with the Mets now, with the organization that they have, a lot of pitchers going down. If it rains in the third inning and it's 0-0 for a 45-minute delay, don't be surprised if Syndergaard doesn't come back out and finishes that game. Just a little bit of food for thought here on that.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out, and again, it is getting warmer, and it's warmer temperatures. But keep in mind, I mean, it's cool here. I know in our area it's a little bit warmer. Up in New York, I don't see any rain on the horizon. That doesn't mean that pop-up thunderstorms won't happen, but it looks as if you're clear weather-wise. This game starts at 1 o'clock, so there's not a ton of weather. Keep in mind, though, it's different than in the winter where you're not going to have pop-up storms. If there's no rain, there's no rain. In the summer and in the spring, stuff pops up. I don't see anything on the radar here, but that could change. I think in the Phillies, I think you'd be more pressed to find some weather as opposed to this one. Just cool and kind of windy.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. Interesting game here, Jeff. 9-17, 9-18, Boston and Toronto. The reason that's really interesting, and if you've been living under a rock or not paying attention to any baseball, David Price is going to take the mound today. Despite his carpal tunnel, he can't feel his fingers and try to step on the mound and win this one over Marco Estrada and the Toronto Blue Jays. 56% of the public still going to back David Price despite his finger issues here. Line opened up at 129 and 125, which with the Boston Red Sox and David Price seems to be a cheap number. I think we went over this a while ago, Jeff, or not even a while ago, maybe last week when he headed down to Texas and you saw that cheap price with a really good team backing with David Price. You're getting that same thing here, 9 across the board. However, we take a look at the splits out there. David Price on the road has been pretty good versus lefties, weighted on base average of 208, 303 from the right-handed side. So he's doing fairly well. They're not striking a lot of left-handed batters out, which is interesting with David Price being a left-hander, only striking out 11% of those. But if you look at Marco Estrada, the one hole that he has is versus right-handed batters, weighted on base, a 452 average. So if you're stacking right-handed bats with the Boston Red Sox today, you should expect to get some runs out there. Only striking out also from the right-handed side, Jeff, Marco Estrada, 10% of those right-handed batters. So if there's a lot of righties in the lineup, Boston could be a terror. But again, you're betting this game, if you're betting the Red Sox, hoping that David Price isn't just going to melt on the mound out there with something wrong with his hand.
Yeah, this is a tough. If you're betting the Red Sox, you really got to worry about David Price. I mean, this is a guy that's been in the news. He's got carpal tunnel. He's obsessed with Fortnite. He's just listen. And I have no issues with Fortnite, but if you're a professional baseball player, you shouldn't be playing it constantly, like he is. Yeah, this is another game. Over looks decent. I mean, it's a dome. You don't have to worry about any weather here. Your boy Price is having issues, and he's going to try and go out there and pitch. When you try to go out and do anything in baseball, it normally doesn't work out. Estrada, you mentioned his issues. Toronto's not exactly a great offense, but they've done a decent job against righties. They're scoring about 4.5 runs a game against righties or against lefties. Sorry. I'm going to go over again here. I'm going to look with a lot of totals today in these games. I don't trust Price. I just don't. I think he's going to – I think it's one of those things where he's going to go out in the third inning, and all week we're going to have to hear about, what's going on with Price, why hasn't Cora done more, and that kind of thing. I'm going to look over again.
9-19, 9-20 here. We'll keep it moving down the list. Eunice here for Kansas City is going to take the mound against the Cleveland Indians. Mike Clevenger, 61% of the early tickets coming in for the Cleveland Indians. High number. Opens up at -200 at Pinnacle, now sitting at 212. Opens up at 205 at Chris. That sits at 210. So that money coming in, pushing that line even higher. But I don't know if these actual statistics from what I look at would support such a high line. Eunice on the road, 303, weighted on base average versus lefties, not bad. Very good versus righties, Jeff. 140. If we're taking a look at strikeout numbers there, doesn't strike a ton of people out. It's going to strike about 22% of the road batters from the right-handed side are at. Also, his walks and hits, the innings pitched pretty low. Right-handed batters only a .57. If we take a look at Clevenger at home, Jeff, lefty and righty splits here. Lefties, 349 weighted on base. Righties, 355 weighted on base. So you can touch him up a little bit. If you're looking at his balls in play, getting hit against him, Jeff, 361 for the left-hand side and 371 for the right-handed side. I don't know if this number supports what, and again, we're looking at Kansas City, Jeff, very good with the bat right now against a pitcher that might be susceptible here at home.
No, they have to be really happy with the fact that at least they've gotten some runs scored, because this lineup last year blew and they couldn't score runs at all. They've had a really good season as far as numbers are concerned. And yeah, I mean, Mike Clevenger is a guy that maybe, Donnie, you would say has been a little lucky. Is that safe to say? I mean,
Yeah, no, sure.
I mean, it's obvious. He's kind of a lot like or Matt Boyd a bit. I mean, he's a better pitcher than Matt Boyd. But Donnie, before I get to my breakdown on Clevenger, I don't know if you remember this guy, but if you're an SBR listener, you do remember this guy because he was on SBR for a while. There was a guy named Bacon Sports. He used to do videos on this channel. He did like a lot of Snapchat videos. It's fucking weird how much Mike Clevenger looks like that guy. Every time I see Clevenger, I think of that dude because he had this like really like gravelly voice. He's like, "Hey, welcome to SBR Sport." Like he had like that gravelly voice. I always think of him every time I see Clevenger. If you know anything about that guy, which means nothing to any of you, but just something I wanted to say. Yeah, I'm going Junis here. I don't trust Cleveland.
Yeah.
I don't think this team's that good right now. They've had a lot of inconsistencies with the bats at times. We've talked about Kansas City. They've played well. And Jake Junis has been pretty good, Donnie. Clevenger, I just don't – I think he's been a little lucky, like you said, and I'm not laying this over $2 price for them. The Royals seem to play well when Junis pitches. 5-2 when he's on the mound. He's done a nice job throughout the season. If he can give you 6-7 innings, which he's been able to do, I think you're going to have a shot at winning this game. Maybe plus 1.5, Donnie, if you don't want to go all out with this. Maybe take the plus 1.5 runs at minus 110. Maybe you just want to take the big price. Because, Donnie, here's the problem with Kansas City. Do you want to take them here? Sure. I'm just making this clear. As a road dog, plus 175 to plus 250, over the last 25 games of that number, Kansas City's 4-21. Minus 13 units. So they don't win very often at this price range. Maybe, though, you take the plus 1.5, feel a little bit more comfortable getting that run.
Yeah, getting a decent number, too, Jeff, in that first 5, I assume. If you're looking at an 8.5, what do you have? Maybe an over-under of 5 over the first 5 innings in that one if you don't want to decide with the bullpens, because both of these offenses hit very well. And good to see Michael Brantley coming back here. Grand slam last night. That's always one of those key cogs that if he ever just stayed healthy, the kid can hit over 300 and with some power. A good athlete there. We'll see if it comes back into play, but that's an interesting game. 9:21, 9:22. First game of a doubleheader, Jeff. Seattle and Detroit. We're going to go Gonzalez and Boyd battle the lefties on the mound. 55% of the early tickets coming in on the Detroit Tigers. Over under 9 across the board. Looks like about 150 to 145, depending on what shop you're looking at here. Gonzalez, I did have some success betting against him in the last game that he was out there. Lefties on the road, 331, weighted on base average. Righties on the road, 341. So both of those above average numbers. You would hope that Detroit would be able to hit those, striking out 26%, Jeff, of the right-handed batters. But get this for Gonzalez. Hasn't struck out a left-handed batter yet on the road. So putting the balls in play are key. And check out from the right-handed side if you're going against Marco Gonzalez, Jeff. 391 batting average if you put the ball in play. So if you make contact, good chance you're going to get a hit against him. Boyd at home, Jeff, been very good versus lefties, 176 weighted on base average. Right-handed batters, 249, keeping it in there. And his walks and hits the innings pitch, both sides, Jeff, to lefties, 0.82, to righties, 0.95. Not a lot of traffic out there for Boyd at home.
Yeah, Donnie, one other thing before I get to this game, and I have a lot to say because I was on this game last night, but it got rained out. Quickly back to that Yankee game. Keep in mind also right now, one thing that's plaguing the Yankees, Didi Gregorius is struggling mightily. He's 0 for his last 28. It's really hurting this lineup. That's another reason I think the under's a decent play. But 9:21, 9:22. Yeah, I was on this under or over last night, and you look at both these teams, Donnie, facing lefties. They both crush lefties. I mean, it's just the truth of the matter. Detroit, when they're facing a lefty, it's hard to envision them not scoring runs. It's a day game. You have to like that. Detroit has been pretty good over the years in day games. It's kind of weird, even with a pretty poor lineup. Matt Boyd, I don't trust. I think Matt Boyd is an absolute fraud. I think his numbers are completely fraudulent, and I think at some point he's going to get touched up. Today might be the day, especially against the Seattle team that's been good on the road. They've been good against left-handed pitchers. You look at Donnie Boyd's numbers. Okay, he's got a 3 ERA on the surface. Most people look at that and say, wow, Matt Boyd killing it. But yeah, you look at his true ERA, his xFIP, 5.13. He's been pretty lucky. You look at his batting average of balls in play, which I know you like, 248. I mean, that's he's getting lucky, frankly. You would agree with that, right, Donnie? Lucky for Matt Boyd. I don't really see how that's going to hold up long term.
Yeah, if you're looking at a modified lineup or a projected lineup tonight for the Detroit Tigers, Jeff, all 9 batters from the right-hand side to go against Marco Gonzalez. So we'll see if that
over the number.
If we holds it up there at 341. So it looks like if they're just going to get an average game out there, over under is 9. Same old adage, Jeff, that pops up all the time. Give me 4 on one side, give me 4 on the other, and I don't lose money. You can easily see, Jeff, both these teams probably.
Hey, Donnie, real quick, Teddy B, big man, not hating, but a lot of people have been coming at you on Twitter for your bad baseball record.
Damn, Jeff.
Yeah, 1-3. I mean, what are you going to do, right?
Damn, you better turn that around. I can't be associated with you if you're 1-3.
I know. I don't know how I'll be able to continue. I'm that bad at baseball. Yeah, listen, I should just stick to college basketball, unfortunately. That's kind of where my expertise is. And Teddy, listen, all you guys, fade me then. You know, that's what I would do. I suck, and I'm never going to be good at handicapping. So, yeah, it sucks. What are you going to do?
All right, we'll keep it moving, Jeff. 923, 924, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, and Andresi and Cobb out there, 58% of the tickets. Jeff lining up right now on the road team with the Rays, over under 9.5 across the board. And why not at Baltimore? It just seems like the floodgates have opened on scoring runs there. Cobb coming in here as the favorite, opened up at 117, depending on some certain outlets out there. Actually, I don't have it open in line out there. Sitting at 117 out there, and looks like it's about the same. If we take a look at some splits out there, Jeff, Andresi on the road, weighted on base average versus right-handed batters, Jeff, a stealthy 500, but he is striking out 30% of those batters. But his obviously balls in play average, Jeff, 625. So the theory here, Jeff, if you're batting on the right-hand side here at Camden Yards, if you make contact, you're probably looking at a shot into the gap or one that even makes the seats. And if we take a look at Cobb at home, he's only had about 25 total batters, 11 of those, Jeff, from the left-handed side, 515 weighted on base average. How about from the right-handed side, Jeff? 406 average. Amazing. This one's setting up. You're sitting it at 9.5 again. Looks like you might get some runs down at Camden Yards today, man.
Yeah, the problem is, Donnie, this is game 2 of a doubleheader. And I never want to take a doubleheader before I figure out what happens in the first game. You would think in the first game, though, that Chris Archer gets the job done. This Hess guy is coming up to start this game, and it seems like Buck is saying, you know what, we'll concede in game 1. Let's see what we can do in game 2. But yeah, I mean, Andresi, you've talked about him. Cobb's been a mess as well. These are 2 games where I'm not going to comment on them. I don't have much on either team to begin with. I hate the Orioles, and it's a doubleheader. It's hard to really think what's going to happen in game 2 after you see game 1, what the lineups are. Donnie, and this I think will help you as well. Big man, your demeanor swings in the weather. You're definitely a shore guy. I can tell, or I love it. Donnie, you're a shore guy as well. Even though you've done pretty well in baseball so far. Listen, nothing better than the shore, though, right?
No, Shore's great. And it's coming up on Shore Scene. I'll actually be down the Shore next Saturday, getting a quick peek in to see what's going down there, taking the wife out to dinner. But looking at this game, Jeff, Andresi, you want to talk about some crazy splits in that one. We talked about right-handed batters who weighted on base average at 500, which is ridiculous. How about lefties on the road, Jeff? A 114, which basically means they're not even getting swings on the ball or even getting out at the plate. So if we take a look right-handed side for Andresi, facing right-handers, you look like you're going to get 1, 2, 3. Damn near, you could probably stack that lineup. But, Chris Davis, Alvarez, Peterson, and Cisco are all lefties. I would like to see much more of a stack, even though Andresi's a right-handed pitcher. Give me more right-handed bats in that lineup. But you're right. When you're looking at double headers there, I always try to take a step back in that one because you're right. You don't know who's going to go in the first game and the pressure that do I want to use my whole bullpen in the first game, knowing I have game 2, so a little bit does go into those.
This has the ability to be a high-scoring game, though. I mean, Cobb's been a fucking mess also. So, yeah, this could be one of those, maybe the first game is a little bit more, 3-1, 3-2. This one could be 8-7 or something. I got a feeling you're going to see runs in this game. But, yeah, the lineups are important, obviously.
All right, we'll keep going, Jeff. 923, 925, 926. Texas, Houston. Last night, my quip on Twitter. God damn, Cole Hamels getting 223 on the road or wherever. He was down in Houston last night, which is amazing just to see that number. And look what happens at the end of the game. A monster favorite going down. Texas picks up the win. Can they do it again today? We're going to have Fister and Morton on the mound. 2,270 tickets have been tracked in this one, Jeff. Look at these lines. Opening up at $253, $255, sitting just about $2.50 all the way across the board. If you take a look at a total, Jeff, 8.5 across the board. Some numbers here that we can work with. Boy, oh boy, Fister, if you're going to face a right-handed batter on the road, weighted on base, .485, almost 500 versus him from the right-hand side, striking out 33% of those batters, but his whip, 2.63 versus righties. And how about this, Jeff? Putting the ball in play, 778 average. If you're a right-hander, you're licking your chops to get across Fister. Morton's been great against lefties at home, a 183 weighted on base average, but you can touch him up, Jeff, a little bit from the right-handed side with a 343 average. Maybe we'll see some runs in this game, depending on these splits, but my goodness, Fister can't get a right-handed bat out on the road, Jeff.
Yeah, I hear you. I'll tell you what, though, Donnie, I'm not going to waste a lot of time with this. I'm not taking Texas. Clearly, I'm not going to lay it with Houston. I don't want to lay a run line with Houston either. It's going to be a pass for me. I don't see any reason to bet this game. Dan Kelly said somebody might hit a great money long parlay last night at Dogs. Yeah, some guy posted a ticket. I guess he lives in
$20 bucks to win 6,000 or something.
$20 to hit 6,000. So there you go. That's a nice little 300 to 1 little ticket there. But yeah, I don't have anything on this. I'm not interested. Mark Lewis is back, Donnie. That guy, Mark Lewis.
I just get it's not even. See, he must be high because he asked me what the ticket split was. I said 54% on the Phillies, and then he asked me again. So maybe he is. You know, he got that ganja going, man. Man.
I think he's talking about how many tickets are being sold for the game.
At this point, with the Mets coming into town with the joint partnership in Major League Baseball, they do like the Mets fans to come down and spend their money in Philadelphia because it's easy to get down here. So I would say at this point, 10,342 tickets have been sold, but we expect more of a walk up here in Philadelphia.
This guy, Mark, he definitely might be high as a kite because, like, he did ask you a couple times and again, someone goes 54%.
That's my man. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's smoking that Cali Kush or something. Is it laced, Mark, maybe?
Oh, man. He's ready for it. 4 games left on the ticket, Jeff. See if we can point out some more winners, 927, 928. Gibson, the rebirth of Kyle Gibson on the road here versus the Angels, and Nick Tropiano, 63% of the tickets. Going to go with the hometown squad here, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. -142, -155 it opened up. But we got some nice reverse movement here, Jeff. Angels now down to 128, 126, 125, depending on what shop you're at. If you take a look at some splits there. Gibson's been really good on the road. Weighted on base average versus lefties, 162 versus righties, 248. Striking out righties, Jeff, a 36% clip, which, you know, if you're going to go against the Angels, you need to be doing damage versus the right-handed batters, and he certainly can do that. Looks like his BABIP on both sides, Jeff, 154, 192. So even if you are making contact, it's not solid contact and he's getting people out. Tropiano hasn't been bad though. Right hand side, Jeff, 284. Left-handed side, 304. So both of those below average. Maybe we see an under in this one, Jeff, between Minnesota and the Angels. Last night, you got lucky as hell if you had the over. I believe they scored 3 or 4 times in the 9th inning to win and push that over. I think we might be headed for an under this one, Jeff.
Yeah, Gibson's actually been pretty good. I mean, the rebirth of Kyle Gibson, how about that? He was a low for most of his career, but he's done a nice job. You're going to get a tough outing tonight, though. This Angel team is really murdering the baseball right now. 310 over the last week or so. It's going to be a tough game here. But this Twin team has been scoring runs, too. They've been playing well. I think you might be right. Could see an over here. Do you trust Kyle Gibson, Donnie? Really?
I don't trust him, but, you know, that's the thing about gambling here. I trust the numbers, and from what I see, I've watched him pitch a few times. He looks completely different than years past, Jeff. Looks good.
I mean, you look at his numbers, they're kind of weird. I mean, last year, 6.89 strikeouts per 9. He's up over 10 this year. I mean, he's really been more of a strikeout pitcher. I don't know what that has to do with. He's done a nice job. I mean, all of his stuff looks really good, and he's not giving up home runs. He's just really been effective. I'm going to lean Twins here. I don't like Tropiano as much. I'm not a big fan of his. You look at this number, Donnie, there's a reason this number is dropping. I think people like Gibson. They believe in Gibson. They like this Twin lineup the way they're playing right now and don't trust Tropiano. I wish I would have got it at a higher price, but even still as an underdog, I would go Gibson here. This looks like one of the better plays on the board so far as games are concerned. I'm going to go with Gibson. I'm going to trust him.
All right. There's never a game in baseball, Jeff, that's not a big game if it doesn't have who? Big Game James, one of the worst monikers in sports history, created for a guy who supposedly is pitching in big games and doing well. But hey, if the name sticks, you might as well wear it there. 929, 930. White Sox and Cubs, after getting whitewashed yesterday, going to come back again today. 220 start. Lester's going to be on the mound versus Big Game James. 76% of the tickets, Jeff, lining up with the hometown Cubbies here. Well, hell, they're both hometown technically, but we'll go with the Cubbies on this. How about this, Jeff? Feel like laying 260, 255? Well, if you are, the Chicago Cubs are definitely for you here. Shields on the road getting raked versus lefties. 358 weighted on base average, only striking out 14% of left-handed batters. And if you're looking at from the right-hand side, Shields has been pretty good versus righties here. But if you look at Lester, both good numbers from home, both weighted on base average, lefty and righty splits under 300. But as the saying goes, Jeff, not interested in laying 255 with anybody in Major League Baseball.
No. I mean, maybe you take a shot with the team total over here for the Cubs, the way they've been hitting the ball lately. They've looked really good. And they're scoring over almost 8 runs a game over the last week, hitting 310. Big Game James is a guy you obviously want to face. That bullpen's a mess for the White Sox. The White Sox, Donnie, I think are the worst team in baseball. They're awful, dude. I mean, they're really bad. At least the Marlins win once in a while. This team like this fucking White Sox team, they never win. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm not interested in prices like this, but if I did, I would go team total over with the Cubs. I think they put up a big number again here.
Yeah, first game, Jeff, for the doubleheader. We'll talk about 931, 932 down Tampa Bay and Baltimore. Archer, who's been really struggling, especially on the road, versus Hess, the young kid. Hess had, Jeff, through about 30 innings, I believe, in AAA. Not bad numbers, 2.12 ERA. So a lot better than some of these tomato cans we've been seeing being brought up from AAA. So maybe he stands a chance here. If we take a look at Archer's breakdown, boy, if you're from the left-hand side, which again, not a lot from the left-handed side power-wise, and obviously out of Chris Davis on the left-hand side for the Baltimore Orioles. They're more right-handed, like to stack those right-handed bats. But if you can get lefties in the lineup, Jeff, versus Archer on the road, weighted on base average, 473, striking out about a quarter of those batters, but 517 if you put the ball in play, and also walks, hits, innings pitched to lefties, Jeff, 2.88. If you get on lefties and you can get on that side, you can get Archer. But I don't know too much about Hess, but his numbers are decent there. You know, good luck to you if you're gambling on this game. Over, it looks like over-under is going to stay at 9 across the board, and a cheap favorite versus a minor leaguer, Jeff, for Archer at -140.
Yeah, Donnie, you know, we're down at Tullahoma, Tennessee, a small south central Tennessee town on the Chattanooga Railroad. Nice little place to grow up, 18,000 people. David Hess.
Chattahoochee. Yeah,
yes,
there you
that's
go.
Where David Hess is from, Tullahoma, Tennessee. The kid is actually, Donnie, how about this? He was born on my birthday, July 10th. I got to go with David Hess. I like this guy. He's kind of my kind of guy. He's born on my birthday. We don't really have anything in common other than that. But listen, you look at his numbers. He's been very good down at AAA, Norfolk. He's done a nice job. He's one of their better prospects. He's going to make his debut. I don't trust Archer, man. He kind of looks like Marcus Stroman. It seems like you want to trust him. You want to get behind him, but he just isn't giving you a ton to really like about him. He did pitch well in his last outing. And, you know, you look at his game against the Orioles a little bit early in the season, didn't have a ton of success. But this Oriole team, man, they just seem to make everyone look like complete shit if you're a pitcher for them. It seems like when you go up and you're an Oriole, it doesn't seem like anything good will happen. Remember that guy, Mike Wright? We ever seen him again? Alec Asher? None of those guys. This lineup just makes you look like shit half the time. I will say, though, I have a feeling this Hess pitches well today. Maybe a sneaky underplay here, but I'll root for him from afar.
Last game on the board, Jeff, 933, 934, the second of a doubleheader, Seattle and Detroit. Felix Hernandez is going to take the mound versus Michael Fulmer. 50-50 ticket split in this one. And looks like it free, you know, King Felix on the road getting the majority of the numbers here, -116, over under 8.5 across the board. If you can line up some lefties versus King Felix, they can be had, or he can be had, I should say. 438 weighted on base average and a 290 balls in play. So if you can square them up, you're going to be getting yourself on base. Decent splits versus right-handed batters, weighted on base average of a 304. Fulmer on the opposite side, Jeff, decent numbers at home, 278 from the left-hand side, 293, so well below average, and should be able to hold it down here. Decent strikeout numbers. I don't have too much on this game because, again, it's one of those things. It's the second game of a doubleheader. You don't know, you know, if Seattle wins the first game, do they put Cano, you know, on the bench, one of those type things. So always a wait-and-see approach here. But, what more does King Felix have on the mound at this point? But again, it all comes down to lineups. Who won the first game? A lot goes into these doubleheaders here.
Yeah, that's for me, and I hate to not give any info on it, but that's how I am with it. I have no idea who's going to play in the second matchup. The Tigers might stack their lineup, and Cano or someone might sit out for the Mariners. So for me, it's going to be a game that I'm not interested in. This is what happens. You have a couple doubleheaders, card shortens for you a little bit. But yeah, for me, I'm looking Twins. I like that today. I definitely like maybe take a shot with the Royals. I like that first Mariner Tiger game. I had that one last night over the number. I'm going to stick with the numbers there. Both hit lefties well. There's a couple games to look at here, but it's not a great card, Donnie, for real.
Yeah, no, I'll be able to pick something out and find something. There's a couple totals that we were looking at, went over earlier. I'll be keying in on, waiting for some lineups, Jeff. Before we get out of here, about maybe a minute or two, I want to get your take on this. If we're looking at the Western Conference Finals, which seems to be a great topic here, because it seems like that's going to be the championship. Whoever wins that, which we're expecting Golden State, or most people are going to win the championship. I can't get over this. The line opens up. Some sports books in Las Vegas had the Warriors up to a -300. Bet Online was about a -200 last night on the Warriors. If they're such a prohibitive and heavy favorite, Jeff, why are they getting 1.5 points game one? This is one of the biggest conundrums I've seen out there. One team, and also if I saw a book out in Las Vegas, Jeff, already paying out if you have a Western Conference championship ticket with Golden State. They're already giving you the money as if it's moving on. So that would lead me to believe that Golden State's going to kick ass. But why are they giving or getting points game one? I don't get it.
What book is that? I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's out there. Remember, there were a couple of the offshore books were paying out like Hillary Clinton to win the presidential election. There's one book out there. Somebody will bring it out there that they're already paying out the ticket.
That can't seem like that would be, Vegas has the control, or the Nevada has the gaming commission. That can't seem to be bored. I mean, I would love to know what casino that is. That's amazing. I've never seen anything like that. As far as why they're a favorite, well, they're at home. I mean, I think that's obviously important. Listen, the backcourt's going to be a bit of a problem for Golden State, probably. Chris Paul has obviously added a new dimension to this team. James Harden, obviously, we know about him. Listen, I think it's going to be a good series. They might win a game or two, but this game, I don't know. I don't know why they're a favorite. I guess because they're at home. That's a great question, Donnie. I'm more looking at this series from a series perspective. Game to game, it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a high-scoring series, as we've talked about. That's a great question. You're totally right. If you could find out what casino that is,
they're bringing it up there. It's Tillman Fertitta, which owns the Golden Nugget, which you see him in New Jersey on TV all the time. He purchased the Rockets. So they're in effect, I guess you don't want to have what's the word I'm looking for? A collusion or something like that. So he's actually paying the tickets out. That's the reason why. I actually didn't even open it up. I just saw them paying it out like it was some sort of promotion. But yeah, Fertitta, the big money owner now who technically purchased the Rockets, that's the reason why they're so good one there.
I see. Damn, I wish I would have bet there. I could have got out of my.
Yeah, we should have thought about that, early on hand in that one, Jeff. Maybe we could have made a little bit.
Yeah, it sucks too because they have a Golden Nugget in Atlantic City also. It's probably the same. Too bad we don't have sports betting, Donnie. We could have.
It's definitely coming soon. Well, folks, just about out of time here. Spent about an hour and 10 minutes here with you on the Saturday Sit Down with SportsbookReview.com. A lot of fun. Went over the card. It was nice, Jeff, going over actually where it said, you know what? Let's just make Major League Baseball the center line. We did it a lot last summer on the morning show. It's a little bit different criteria, but it's fun to let it blast on a Saturday. Go through every game, sort of pick our knowledge. But great people out there in the chat box, and certainly a lot of fun here on Saturdays at sportsbookreview.com. Give us a follow, give us a like, retweet the show, let it grow. As they say, hopefully you guys can cash in some tickets this weekend. I was your host today, Donnie Rightside, here along with my partner, crime, the big man on campus. Folks, check us out 10 a.m. on Monday for the Right Side of Campus. Have a great weekend out there.
Thank you.